order. New convener for Inter-University Students Federation. Newest edition of popular Korean drama series presented by the national television will telecast from tomorrow. Ukraine president meets G7 leaders. We move on to those and other stories in detail. And in your top local story tonight, the funeral ceremony of Chief Prelate of Sri Lanka Amarapura Mahanikaya, Most Venerable late Dudam Pahala Chandrasiri Thera, was held at the Independence Square in Colombo this evening with full state honours.
The Mahasangha, led by the Mahanayakas and also the public representatives and foreign envoys, were present at this occasion. The late Mahanayaka Thera was 83 years of age at his demise. Born on December 20th, 1939 in Dodampahala village in Hambantota, the Thera entered priesthood on 25th November 1950 as the Venerable Dodampahala Chandrasiri Thera. The late Most Venerable Thera had extended an immense service towards the religious and national rejuvenation in the country and carried out Dhamma propagations in many countries around the world. The late Mahanayaka Thera is renowned for his utmost commitment in rendering an immense service for the benefit of the Buddha Sasana and the nation. The Mahasangha have said that the demise of the late Mahanayaka Thera has left a void in this era, as he excelled in preaching Dhamma and also sharing practical insight over the priesthood with the young Bhikkhu generation. The remains of the Chief Prelate were taken to the Independence Square, Colombo, from the Sri Tapora Sangha headquarters in Kalapaluwa in a procession. The funeral ceremony was held with the participation of the Mahasangha religious leaders and public representatives of devotees as well as foreign envoys. Religious observances being conducted by Acting Chief Prelate of the Amarapura Kalyani Vanshanikaya, the Venerable Dr. Devinuwara Sirusananda Thera. The Matakavastu Puja was conducted by the Deputy Chief Prelate of the Amarapura Kalyani Vanshanikaya, the Venerable Kotapula Amarakirti Thera. Anushasana for the Sri Lanka Amarapura Mahanikaya was conducted by the Acting Chief Prelate, the Most Venerable Karagoda Uyangoda Maitri Murti Thera.
ප්‍රඥාතේසින් සෝභමානවත් වීම මේ විදියට මේ සීලයෙන් ගුණයෙන් ප්‍රඥාවෙන් සෝභමානවත් වූ යතීන්ද්‍රයන් වහන්සේ නමක් වශයෙන් තමයි මහානායක ස්වාමීන්ද්‍රයන් වහන්සේ ඊටම කෙටියෙන් මට සඳහන් කරන්න තිබෙන්නේ.
Anushasana of the Sri Lanka Siam Nikaya was conducted by the Deputy Chief Prelate of the Askiri chapter, the Venerable Anamadue Dhammadasi Thera.
තමන් වාසය කරන වික්ෂු ආයතනයේ නම මුල් කරගෙන තමන්ගේ පැවිදි නමත් භාවිතා කරමින් ව්‍යවහාර කරන නිසාවෙන් උන්වහන්සේ කිසියක් අලුත් සම්ප්‍රදායක් ආරම්භ කළ යතිවරයන් වහන්සේ නමක් දෝ කියලත් සිහිපත් කර දෙන්නට පුළුවන්.
Anushasana for the Sri Lanka Ramanya Mahanikaya was delivered by the Chief Prelate, the Most Venerable Makulave Vimala Thera.
ගිහි පැවිදි අපි කවුරුත් ජීවිතයට අර්ථයක් ලබා දෙන විදියට ගත කරනවා නම් අන්න ඒක තමයි සැනසීම පිණිස පවතින්නේ.
The condolence message sent by President Ranil Wickremesinghe was read out by the North-Western Provincial Governor Lakshman Yapabewardena.
උන්වහන්සේ ප්‍රාර්ථනා කළා වූ බෝධියකින් උතුම් වූ නිර්වාණ සම්පත්තිය ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරමි. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ශ්‍රී ලංකා ප්‍රජාතාන්ත්‍රික සමාජවාදී ජනරජයේ ජනාධිපති.
උන්වහන්සේගේ
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena conveyed his condolence statement while addressing the funeral ceremony.
ගැඹුරු මඟ පෙන්වීමක් ලෙස ශාසනික ඉතිහාසයේ සටහන් වන අවස්ථාවකට ගමන් කළා. රාජගිරියේ තපෝවනය ඇතුළු තපෝවනය විවිධ ප්‍රදේශවල ඇති කරමින් භාවනාව පිළිබඳ ඇති කළ ගමන් මඟ සුවිශේෂයි.
Subsequently, the funeral pyre of the late Most Venerable Dodampahala Chandusiri Mahanayaka Thera was lit. The Asupini Alla water scheme, which in fact provides clean and safe drinking water facilities for around 169,000 people, was vested with the public today.
The event was held with the participation of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Asupini water scheme in Aranayaka Kegol is the largest water project in the Sabaragama province. The water scheme extends solutions to the drinking water problem in 135 Grama Seva divisions belonging to Aranayaka, Mavanalla and Rabukkana divisional secretariats in Kegol. This water scheme was implemented under the financial allocation of 3,847 million rupees from the government and the loan support of 18,650 million rupees from the Netherlands. The construction work of the water scheme commenced in 2018. A water treatment plant with a capacity of 21,000 cubic meters per day, 7 service reservoirs, a transmission pipe system of 37 kilometers and a distribution pipe system of 120 kilometers have been constructed under the scheme. Unveiling the plaque and declaring open the water scheme to the people, the President also declared open the water system. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that people prefer to not live as beggars as they wish to live with dignity. He said that by the coming month of July-August, it is possible to successfully complete the debt restructuring program and bring the economy to a stable level. He said that all should work together and work hard to build a prosperous country out of bankruptcy.
හැම එක්කෙනාගේම හිතේ තියෙන ඡන්දෙ නෙවෙයි. කොහොමද මේක ගොඩ අරගෙන අපි කොහොමද ජීවත් වෙන්නේ කියලා. ඉතින් අපිට තියෙන්නේ මේක ඉස්සෙල්ලා ගොඩ ගන්න පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක් ඇටියට විපක්ෂයේ ඉඳගෙන ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයේ ඉඳගෙන කතානායක පුටුවේ ඉඳගෙන කමන්නේ මේ වැඩ කටයුතු වලට සහයෝගය දීලා ඉදිරියට යන්න.
And I'm very proud to be here today, and I think co-creation is all about allowing access to equal opportunities, and that is what I think the President is doing at the moment with the reform program, allowing equal opportunities for businesses to come and invest, co-create opportunities together, co-create solutions for problems that arise in this country. And I'm very proud to see Dutch companies and Dutch investors coming in to work together with Sri Lankan companies, Sri Lankan expertise, working towards a better future, knowledge exchange, and allowing the Sri Lankan people to benefit and prosper in return.
The establishment of the United National Party, Dulapitiya Balamandale, was held at the party main office yesterday. Well, the establishment of the UNP Gampaha District Balamandale for electorates is currently in progress. Accordingly, party leaders and members were present at the United National Party Dulapitiya Balamandale launching ceremony.
දැවන්තම පක්ෂය වෙන්න ඕන ජනාධිපතිතුමාට ශක්තිය දෙන එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය.
උද්දමනය අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා. 30කට අඩු වෙනවා. අපි පටන් ගත්තේ 70කට තිබ්බේ. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මේ 30 වෙද්දී ආයෙත් උද්දමනය ප්‍රකාශ වෙද්දී 30කට වඩා අඩු වෙලා තියෙයි කියලා.
Well, Madhushan Chandrajit of the University of Peradeniya has been appointed as the new convener of the Inter-University Students' Federation.
It was revealed during a media briefing held today that the new convener was appointed with the consensus of all groups. Former IUSF convener Vasantha Mudalige said that a new convener was appointed for the Inter-University Students' Federation during the IUSF session held at the Rajarata University yesterday. Accordingly, he said that Madhushan Chandrajit of University of Peradeniya has been appointed as the new convener. Responding to a query raised by a journalist over an alleged exclusion of JVP, he said that the relevant appointment was made following discussions with all segments of the IUSF. The police say that the remains of late businessman Dinesh Shafter will be exhumed following an order issued by the courts. Accordingly, police media spokesman SSP Nihal Taldua speaking to media today said that the body will be exhumed on the 25th.
Police media spokesman SSP Nihal Taldua said that necessary measures have been taken to exhume the body of the late businessman Dinesh Shafter. The 5-member panel of physicians appointed by the court had requested to exhume the body for investigation purposes. According to the court, issued an order to exhume the body. The police media spokesman said that while necessary measures have been taken to exhume the body on the 25th, security measures in the burial area have been tightened by the Berala police. Well, the second round selections of Miss and Mr. Twins Sri Lanka 2023 pageant was held at the BMICH yesterday.
The national television is the media sponsor of the pageant. 32 pairs of twins were selected for the second round of the world's first ever Miss and Mr. Twins Sri Lanka 2023 pageant, out of which 10 pairs of twins were selected for the final round. The pageant was organized based on a concept of the founders of Sri Lanka Twins Organization and the vice presidents of World Twins Organization Upali Gamage and Chamali Gamage. The finals is scheduled to be held on the 5th of August. The winners of the pageant will represent Sri Lanka at international pageants. The newest edition of the popular Korean drama series presented to viewers by the national television will telecast at 7:30 p.m. from tomorrow onwards.
Well, it's titled 100 Days My Prince, the Korean drama, dubbed in Sinhala and is titled as Ahimi Matakalesa.
කමා කරන්න කුමරුනි යුද පිටේට යාමට ඉඩ දිය නොහැකි ඉවත් වනෝ ඔබතුමායි ගියහොත් දිවි තොර වේ වංශවත් අයෙකුට මෙසේ සැලකීම සුදුසු නැහැ
මා සිතුවේ අප හොඳ මිත්‍රයින් බවයි
අද මේ උදාවන මොහොතේ සිට ඔබතුමායි මේ රාජ්‍යයේ රජු රාජතුමනි
तू हिनवलटද කැමති පුෂ්පවලටද කැමති ඔබටයි
State Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya says many privileges of public representatives have been suspended at present. He made these remarks while speaking to media in Ruanbala. The state minister said the present finance minister has cut off many privileges of public representatives. He added that the MP allowance for ministers have been reduced by 33%. The vehicle permits have also been denied. He also added that the public representatives are subjected to heavy taxations. He further said that the present cabinet has been limited compared to the previous years. He also said that proposals have been tabled to reduce the number of local government councillors by half from the existing number of seats. He said that such limitations were introduced since all have to bear the burden of economic pressure equally.
Well, Japan's Nipponishin no Kai upper house lawmaker Mizuho Omemura was dismissed from parliamentary committee over a controversial statement made regarding the death of a Sri Lankan woman at an immigration facility. Well, this 33-year-old Vishma Sandamani died at the Nagoya Regional Immigration Services Bureau that's in March 2021 after complaining to officials that she was ill and needed medical attention. The incident sparked shock, anger and calls from within Japan and abroad from reforms of the treatment of detainees. Without offering proof, Omemura informed the upper house on 3 occasions that Vishma may have died as a result of a hunger strike in the hope of an early release due to illness. Her remarks caused uproar as the other ruling and opposition party leaders criticized her statement over the incident. Omemura admitted to a Judicial Affairs Committee recently that her statement was only a speculation. Subsequently, the Nipponishin Secretary General announced that the party had forced Omemura to resign from the Judicial Affairs Committee and that other disciplinary action might be taken against her. Immigration officials acknowledged in an August 2021 report that officials lacked an awareness over Vishma's situation, and 4 officials at the Nagoya Center were also reprimanded. Well, today marks the International Tea Day.
One of Sri Lanka's main foreign exchange earners is tea exports. Currently, the Ceylon tea placed at 4th in the world rankings. The Sri Lankan tea plantations industry is comprised of 2 segments, including small tea estate owners and regional plantation companies. Tea smallholdings own 64% of the overall tea cultivation, while 22 regional plantation companies hold 36% of the share. These companies manage 450 estates in Kandy and Nuwara districts. They also own 371 tea production factories. The companies have contributed 26.6 million kilos of tea for the national production in 2021, which is 35% of the overall tea production. The respective companies have invested 81 billion rupees towards the tea industry since 1992. They contributed 10 billion rupees to the government as revenue taxes during last year. Over 1 million people continue to depend on a livelihood surrounding the tea estates belonging to these regional companies.
Well, from tea to rambutan. Well, unfortunately, rambutan farmers claimed that the rambutan harvest has significantly declined after many years. They pointed out that in the past, they start to reap this harvest in the Vesak season, but during this year, many trees are yet to produce any harvest thus far. Well, the rambutan harvest is largely taking place surrounding the villages in Malvana, Mapitigama, Dompe, Valgama, Lansiahena and also Kalukondayava. A considerable number of families are maintaining rambutan cultivations as their livelihood for many years. Rambutan cultivators said that the harvest can only be reaped once a year and the only limited number of trees had borne harvest this year. They further said that with no sufficient harvest to be traded, their livelihoods have been severely affected.
The Sri Lankan Festival 2023 commenced at the Kamagaya City grounds in Japan yesterday. The 2-day event is organized by Association of Sri Lanka in Japan. Sri Lankan ambassador in Japan Rodney Pereira and Mayor of Kamagaya City Shivotha Hiromi presided over the inauguration ceremony of the festival. The main objective of the festival is to promote Sri Lanka as an attractive tourist destination among the Japanese. The festival was also comprised of stalls exhibiting Sri Lankan products, cuisine and various other indigenous and traditional products which are in high demand in Japan. The festival was brightened up with various Sri Lankan musical items and colourful dancers. Many Sri Lankans and Japanese nationals took part in the festival.
I want to say thank you very much, Jayawardena President. I want to say thank you for Sri Lanka. And I think Sri Lanka is very peaceful island. So from Sri Lanka, we pray for world peace this year.
And we're now moving on to more local news stories in brief. Issuance of vouchers for farmers to purchase fertilizer for paddy cultivation in the Yalla season will begin tomorrow. Accordingly, 650,000 farmers are expected to receive the financial assistance. 20,000 rupees will be extended for 1 hectare of paddy fields, while 40,000 rupees to be extended to 2 hectares of paddy fields. 6 brokers were allegedly preparing passports outside the proper process have been taken into custody. The relevant arrests were made by the police intelligence units. The Public Security Ministry has said that 15 suspects have already been taken into custody on these charges. Former Northern Provincial Director of the Civil Security Department, retired Colonel Ratnapriya Bandhu, called on the Chief Prelate of the Malvatta chapter, the Most Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Sumangala Thera today. Discussions were held over the implementation of a program to improve reconciliation among the ethnic and religious groups. Meanwhile, an all-night Pirit chanting ceremony was held last night until this morning at the Sandhiru Saya site in Anuradhapura to mark the 14th anniversary of the War Heroes Day. A ceremony to distribute school equipment for thousands of children in low-income earning families was held at the Ruan Valley Saya site yesterday. It was held under the guidance of the chief incumbent of the Ruan Valley Saya, the Venerable Ithalavatanu Veve Jnana Tilaka Thera, Deputy Chief Prelate of the Malvatta chapter, the Venerable Nyangoda Vijaysiru Thera, and the Atamashthanadipati, the Venerable Pallegama Hemarathan Thera. Army Commander Vikram Lianage, Chairman of the University Grants Commission, Senior Professor Sampath Amratunga, and Ambassador of Vietnam in Sri Lanka received the honours during the ceremony for their utmost service towards the country. Well, that's news at home. We take a short break and we'll be back with international stories shortly. Moving on to international stories, welcome back. Ukrainian president arrived at the G7 summit in Japan yesterday as world leaders issued a veiled warning to China.
And the Ukrainian president arrived in Hiroshima on a French government plane after a stopover in Saudi Arabia. His hastily organized visit prompted G7 leaders to issue a statement early in which they condemned Russia. This year's gathering of the world's richest democracies saw them extending invitations to several emerging economies in the global south, as well as India and Australia. Top of the agenda is the Ukraine war, and Zelensky's last-minute appearance has added heat and urgency to discussions. Zelensky's in-person attendance at the G7 gave the wartime leader the opportunity to meet with the member nations who already squarely back Ukraine and press them for continued military aid. Meanwhile, Moscow and Beijing lashed out against the summit, where the G7 leaders pledged new measures targeting Russia and their growing concerns over China. Russian authorities slammed the G7 for including in their own greatness with an agenda that aimed to deter Russia and China. China's foreign ministry accused the G7 of hindering international peace and said the group needed to reflect on its behavior and change course. Ukrainian President Zelensky met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Japan, the first in-person meeting between the two since Russia's invasion began.
And in related news, protesters took to the streets of Hiroshima to raise their voices in opposition to the Group of Seven summit being held in the city. With the protesters holding anti-war and anti-G7 banners gathered in Hiroshima to decry the bloc's unwarranted interference in the international affairs for self-interest. The protesters accused the G7 nations of escalating war in Ukraine. They chanted anti-war slogans and hoisted banners calling for no war. They claimed that the participating countries are threatening regional and global stability. They further said that they were against the G7 leaders using Hiroshima, a city symbolic of peace, as a venue for their meetings. The G7, consisting of the United States, Britain, Italy, France, Germany, Canada and Japan, concluded its leaders' annual summit in Hiroshima today after a month-long wave of protests denouncing the meeting was held across Japan. Demonstrators also demanded the abolition of nuclear weapons. Protesters and rallies were held at different locations in Hiroshima as people all over the country took to the streets to oppose the meeting. Demonstrators from countries including Japan and the US and the Philippines, South Korea also attended the protests. Foreign reports have indicated that the protesters also held up banners and opposed the establishment of an Asian version of NATO, a military alliance between the US, Japan and South Korea, with some demanding withdrawal of US troops from Asia.
A report released by an independent think tank warns that the rising food prices will overtake energy prices to become a major contributor to Britain's inflation. The Resolution Foundation said in the report titled Food for Thought that food costs instead of energy costs will be a bigger shock to British household finances in this summer. Britain's food and grocery prices rose nearly 20% over the past year, according to data from the country's Office for National Statistics. Apart from the growing energy costs, several factors have caused the food price increase, including the supply chain disruption caused by the Ukraine crisis, trade barriers following the withdrawal from the European Union, and the growing labour cost.
Alright, so on the sports news, we are moving on to the National Sports Festival. The Western Province secures the gold medal in the women's tug-of-war event at the 47th National Games, and the Southern Province won the gold medal in the men's division.
The final games were held at the Torrington grounds in Colombo today. The women's finals was between Western Province and Central Province teams. Accordingly, Western Province managed to overpower the Central Province to secure gold. Southern Province women's team managed to win bronze, and the finals of the men's division was between Southern Province and the Uwa Province. Accordingly, Southern Province secured gold by defeating Uwa in a tight match. Wamba secured bronze in the division. Sri Lanka Air Force's Eagle Link Golf Sports Club won the overall championship of the quadrangle tournament. The tournament was held at the China Bay Eagles Golf Grounds. Air Force's Eagle Link Golf Club, Royal Colombo Golf Club, Victoria Golf Club and Nuarelia Golf Club took part in the tournament. The prize-giving ceremony was held with the participation of Sri Lanka Air Force Commander Air Marshal Sudarshana Patirana.
Well, that's it on the news. Do enjoy the rest of the programs together with Hasuni. This is Clifford, wishing you a good night.